Welcome back to the Mail Right Show, ladies and gentlemen. It's episode 274. Today we are meeting with Shawn Bell, who's in Century21 in Canada, and I'll let him introduce himself and explain what part of Canada that he is from.
Hey guys, well, thanks. First off, thanks for having me here. Really do appreciate it. I'm one of your north of the border Canadians. We're kind of more on the west side of Canada. So easiest way for me to usually explain it to everybody is just saying we're pretty much 6 hours north of the border, straight north of Montana. So go to Montana, go 6 hours north, and you may find me somewhere there. We're not heavily populated. I'm in a city of only 30,000 people. And that's I joke with everybody. We've been practicing social distancing for years here, so this stuff's not new to us. It's pretty easy going here for us to get through this.
That's beautiful. All right, so today we found Shawn because my intrepid host, which by the way, John, I'm going to cue you up for an introduction here, was doing some research on YouTube and reached out to you because we were really impressed with your YouTube channel. And with that, John, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm the co-host with Robert on the Mail Right Show. Shane came across, Shawn came across me on doing some research for possible guests. He seemed to, I was intrigued by what he was doing on YouTube, and also get a perspective of an agent that's still very active as agent in a slightly different market, the Canadian market, which I think has been going through a slightly different cycle than maybe the US market, and also somebody that's really active on with digital media. So I thought you'd be a great guest to see what's been working for you. I also know you interact with a lot of agents, and you could give us some feedback, what you're finding is working for other agents, what isn't. So I thought it would be a really interesting show, Robert.
Excellent. All right. So with that, Shawn, why don't we just tee up one of those questions that John just asked and start off the show with you telling us about what differences so we know, or the audience now knows, that you're really active on social media, that he has a huge following and a really active channel on YouTube, and you could probably just go into YouTube and search for Shawn Bell, and if that doesn't work, do shawnbell.ca, and I'm sure that would work. So why don't you explain to us what you feel like the differences are in Canada versus the US, if any, if just whatever your thoughts are.
For real estate in general, I mean, there is subtle differences. I've worked with a lot of US realtors and Canada as well. Just for example, setting up our CRM, I noticed from doing it in the US, there's those little differences. I mean, here it always boggles everybody in the US's mind when I tell them somebody calls me up today and wants their house listed, I can have it on the market tomorrow. Whereas I know in the US, there's a lot more of a process to that, where you got to, do a lot more steps before you ever do have a house on the market. Whereas here, it's basically, I take my photographer over, we take our photos, we get the paperwork signed that day, and she's on tomorrow. Another one is in the US, you have a lot of title companies. So with possessions, usually your paperwork's going to a title company, and you go sit down with the customers at a closing table. Correct me if I'm wrong here, because I'm just kind of guessing, but you kind of sit down with the customers, sign paperworks, and it's closed, and that's it. Up here, we do not have such a thing. We just have the lawyers that take care of everything. So basically, when we have all conditions removed on a property, that's when it's considered sold. We send everything off to the lawyers, and then from there, the lawyers take care of everything. So there's no closing appointment we have to attend. It's just basically once possession.
So I think what you're describing is it's similar to the UK system, where the title company element is not there, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah, there still is such thing as a title transfer. It's just the lawyers are doing that title transfer.
It's a deed in the UK. One of the factors that interested me is how's the Canadian, so it's a vast country like the US, so it's probably regional, but in the US in general, it's been a dramatic shortage of sellable property, and a lot of markets in the US are pretty like red hot at the present moment. Has the Canada been down a similar direction, or is the market fundamentals a bit different?
That is a great question, and it all depends where you live in Canada. So if you go further west of where I live, to the coast of Vancouver, you're going to see a market that's been very busy. I believe it in the last year or so, it had softened a little bit, but it was just going crazy for so long. There was a lot of foreign investment, a lot of people
market?
coming and buying
What's
property.
What's the name of the market for our Canadian audience, because they'll know?
In Vancouver.
Vancouver. Gotcha. Okay.
British Columbia.
Okay.
Yep. So they have a lot of influence from the international buyers, came in, bought a bunch of property. Eventually, Vancouver put in what was called a foreigner's tax, where they taxed the people that were coming in. And I believe if the houses were vacant, they put a tax on it. So then a lot of those buyers moved farther east to Toronto. And then Toronto all of a sudden saw a big boom in their market. And it was Toronto and Montreal. So basically anywhere kind of east is just been insane, just a lot like you see in the markets in the US. Where I'm located, it's the exact opposite. We have, it's been 6 years now. We've been in a recessed market, which is a very long time for a recessed market. We're a heavy oil field related community, and just the oil field's been hit hard, and therefore we've seen a bunch of foreclosures. We've got a bunch of houses on the market. I mean, when we were in our booming times, which it was insane, we had no houses on the market. For a city of 30,000 people, we had, I think it was maybe 30 houses on the market. And then fast forward to a few years later, we had over 400. So it's just quite a drastic difference. And
I'm sorry to interrupt, but is this also what you're describing? Is this also affecting Alberta and Calgary?
Yes. Yeah. So I live 5 hours northeast of Calgary, and you'll see a lot of the oil field companies' head offices are in Calgary. And we're right on the border of Alberta and Saskatchewan, and it's affecting both provinces for sure.
Okay, which makes my next question, I feel, about a million times more relevant. So you, unless I am misreading, are in the top 1% of Century21. And what you just described to me and John is that you are sitting in the middle of a recessed market. Now, there's a lot of people, myself included, looking past this boom and crazy time to when real estate stabilizes in the US. And I do believe at some point we're gonna see a slowdown. It's hard to say that we won't, because we're so hot right now. So I think that this information might be incredibly relevant for some of our listeners. Like, they'll be really fascinated to hear. You've just described a depressed marketplace. You've got tons of foreclosures. How are you maintaining top 1% of all of Century21 in Canada sitting in a depressed market?
For sure. Yeah, it's just all a matter. I mean, obviously, there's never one trick. It has helped. I've been in the market for a while. I've been doing this just over 16 years, so I've been able to build a name for myself. I mean, that helps.
You look much too young. Are you saying you started doing this when you were 12?
Yeah. You're not the first person to ask that. I started when I was 19. And yeah, from there, it's just a matter of just keeping in touch with people. I mean, social media, I love social media. That has helped quite a bit, getting my face out there. I've been known as kind of the leader of social media within our city. And because of that, I mean, people recognize you. They're like, hey, I saw you on Facebook. I saw you on Instagram. I recognize you. They know me before I even know them, which is awesome, because now when people are coming to deal with me, they already know you have a family, you like to travel, you like food. They know all those things about me, and I don't even know who the heck they are already, but they already know, like, and trust me because of the brand I built and because of what I do on social media. And then aside from that, it's just always been like, I always tell everybody, I have my phone here. I always say this thing is literally always with me. I mean, everybody knows when they message me, they're going to get a response from me. And I found what lacks with a lot for people that I've spoken to said if they've dealt with a realtor before is communication is key for them. That's their biggest thing is they never heard from their realtor. So I found, hey, there's an easy one for me. If I keep in touch with them and I keep talking with them, then obviously that's going to take care of that objection.
Okay. So interestingly enough, it seems like you're mostly leveraging real estate, and I said, or leveraging, you've done a little bit of business. So your tools are as follows. You've got all of your social channels. You've got a real estate website that was built for you by real estate webmasters. I'm curious to know which, so you're on YouTube, you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook.
Yeah.
If you had to say which of these tools has been most impactful for your lead generation, what are you going to say has been the number one thing for you to bring business to the doors?
As a realtor in my city, it's definitely been Facebook. So I always recommend when I talk to other realtors as well, is it can depend on your city. My city, I always call it kind of old school. So the demographic majority of people in my city are on Facebook, whereas you go to another city, it might be Instagram. The other difference is right now I'm running, we just started a new page because I just created a small team here. So I had my Facebook page already. Now we got a new Instagram page up and running for it. So those two kind of correlate with each other. Then on the other side of it, where I run a course teaching other realtors how to do things, that's where I've got another Instagram page for that. And I've got a YouTube page for that. So that's helping other realtors. So if we're talking on the real estate side of things, then yeah, for sure, Facebook and Instagram, and seems like Facebook has so far been beating out Instagram within my community.
Okay. And you've got, so you haven't mentioned in any of that YouTube. Now I'm looking at YouTube, I'm looking at your YouTube channel, and I'm looking at a lot of your YouTube channel. It actually seems to be geared towards realtors and not necessarily towards prospective real estate people. It's a lot of training. For those of you who are curious to know what I'm looking at, Shawn seems to be offering a lot of tutorials. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah. Just basically, the short of it is bettering your business through technology. So I'm a huge tech guy. I mean, before I was in real estate, I was a computer tech. I tore apart computers. I rebuilt them. And when I got into real estate, I felt like the two could be married together. So I put them together, and that's another reason why I feel I've had great success with it. Real estate is just, I've always got the new, latest, greatest. I'm always researching, if there's somewhere we can make something better, what's an app we could use to do that, or what other thing could we do? I mean, it was years ago I started electronic signatures. Back then, people didn't even know what the heck electronic signatures were. So just different stuff like that it made my time more efficient, and I could do a lot more with the proper systems. And yeah, so that's basically the short of what that YouTube channel is about, is just teaching other people from my experience in my 16 years of things that have worked and what they can do as well to implement in their business.
All right. Well, we're going to go to a break right now, ladies and gentlemen. When
we actually still got a little bit of time. Actually,
I have a big question. Let's do it early. I have a question that won't be fast. So let's.
I've got a quick question before we go for the break. Just to summarize, because obviously I think you did a great description of your market. I think what you were saying about how you managed still to be in the top 1% of your franchise was quite not eye-opening, but was crucial, because I think what you were saying was that there was no silver bullet why you were maintaining your status. It was more real down-to-earth factors that you had put the donkey work in over a number of years, about not what both me and Robert called the invisible agent syndrome, that you've got to get yourself out there and be a recognised authoritative brand in your area. And I think that's what you were saying, that you had done the previous, so you were seen as the real estate resource in your local community. Would you say that I'm on the right track there?
That is correct. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, I mean, when I started, there was not much for social media. So it was a matter of, you got to know people and you built a rapport and you had that person refer you and that next person referred you. So that's how it started. And then from there, once social media came along, then all of a sudden I jumped on that, and it was just kind of adding fuel to the fire. So you're getting the referrals, but then secondarily, you're getting the next people that are finding you from being online. So it all works together in one great system.
So it's like you say. So I think what you're saying is it's still totally a relationship based business in a way. You're just using technology to increase your outreach and being able to build your local brand at an affordable price.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's number one still relationship for sure, because I mean, I can be doing all this and doing great on social media. And if somebody comes to me and I do a terrible job or I'm not doing the job for them, then that relationship falls apart. And what I just did, everything falls apart. So it's all got to work together.
Right. And I think that fits into what we've been preaching over the past year, hasn't it, Robert? That,
yeah,
it's not divorced. I think there's a lot of people, and we've discussed this before, that can use social media, or they use what I call the Buffini mythology. But we've got an agent here that understands that you've got to combine both together and use digital marketing to build your brand and get yourself in front of people at the right time. But it's also still totally aware that it's still a relationship industry, basically. So it's fantastic just to find somebody that's using both, because I think a couple of weeks ago when we were having an internal discussion, Robert, we were finding that a lot of people struggle with that, don't they?
Yeah. No, they do, because the overall concept, it is a big concept to say that, hey, in today's digital world, it's best to rely on 6 or 7 different methods of getting in front of somebody. Because Shawn, you're talking about, Instagram and Facebook. You've mentioned those two repeatedly. You probably have actually. That's going to lead me into my question, which is going to be
coming up to popular. The clock. So
yeah. Oh, now that I'm talking, it's time to stop. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to our break. We'll be right back, and when we come back, I'm going to be tossing Shawn a question about his most popular video, which is on CRMs. All right. And here we go. Welcome back to the Mail Right Show, ladies and gentlemen. It's episode 274. Can you believe that? 274. And we're here with Shawn Bell, an internet rock star from Canada, about 6 hours north of Montana. And I am about ready to ask him a question about his most popular YouTube video, which is how John and I found him. He is giving out some great content for all of you real estate agents looking for a little bit of help. You can find him at Shawn Bell on YouTube. The question that I have for you, Shawn, regards your video that has 5,400 views. It's the most popular video I could find on your channel. And it asks this question: top real estate CRMs for new agents, making the best decision. So it's a 10-minute video. Here's my curveball. So what did you recommend?
I'll answer that in 2 ways.
Okay.
So first off, what I always start within my videos, I say to everybody, now, obviously I'll give my recommendation of what I really like and the ones that I've used and the one I'm currently using. In saying that, I always want everybody to do their own research as well to know what they want to get out of their CRM. Because what I want out of my CRM might be different from what the next person wants out of their CRM. So I would hate for somebody to say, hey, you know what? He recommended this CRM. I'm going to go get it. And then they get into it and they find out, oh, this is more work than what I thought, or this doesn't do what I wanted it to do. And all of a sudden they're going, well, that guy, what the heck does he know? What is he talking about? I mean, this was a terrible recommendation. So there's not one size that fits all. There's not in anything. There's, in my opinion, there's nothing that is like, this is the best one. And if everybody uses it, they're going to be the best, because they all do different things. Now, to answer your initial question, Real-Volve is what I recommended. That's the current CRM that I use. I really do love it. Like I said, it does take time to set up, but once it is set up, I mean, the thing's amazing. It runs through the exact same tasks every time. So if I have a new buyer come along, I can put they're called workflows. So I can attach a workflow to that person. And then from there, it reminds me to follow up with them all the time and to keep in touch with them. If I get an accepted offer on a property, whether I'm representing the seller or the buyer, I put that into Real-Volve, and then it runs me through the exact same things every time. It has where it'll automatically send them a video that we've created ahead of time. Tells them the next steps that are going to happen, reminds us to send stuff to their mortgage person, get the home inspection book for them. Basically, so the idea was kind of when we came up with it, was kind of almost like a franchise model. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're going somewhere say you're going to a McDonald's and you're going to a McDonald's in New York, that cheeseburger you order is going to be same as the cheeseburger you order in LA. It's going to go through the exact same process. So no matter where you order it, you're going to get that relatively same experience. And that's what we wanted to curate within our business, so that when one buyer comes through, maybe they refer a friend and that friend's coming through, they are going to get the exact same level of experience, so that they're not coming back and saying, hey, why did you do this for my friend, but you didn't do this for me? Real-Volve takes care of all that, because it's telling you to do basically step-by-step every time. And the best part of it now is every time I get somebody new, I enter them into my Real-Volve CRM. It tells me what to do. And I know when I go home at night and I spend time with my family, I don't have to worry about a thing, because I know everything was taken care of. Whereas years ago, before I had this, there was many nights I would sit there, lay awake in bed and going, I forgot to do that. I forgot to contact that person. And it just was not a good feeling. And I knew that had to change. And that's why I did my research and eventually settled on Real-Volve.
Interesting. All right. I think I'm going to have to take another look. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, if you're curious about this video, Shawn has the distinct and strange honor of actually beating me for a number of keywords in YouTube. You can do any of these search terms and you will find this video at number 1 or number 2. CRM for real estate, CRM for real estate agents, best CRM for real estate agents. And there's about a list of 20 other keywords that he ranks number 1 or 2 for. And you can hear him talk for 10 straight minutes about his Real-Volve recommendation. He's got 117 thumbs up, 4 thumbs down, probably from people who are competitors, by the way, in case you're wondering why occasionally that happens.
Any thumbs up, whether they're up or down, I'll take them. It counts as engagement.
So
what I was fascinated by your reply was that it really showed what me and Robert have been also discussing with our internal shows and our guests, is when somebody says, you know, what do you recommend as a CRM? And it's a practically impossible question to answer, because, and it was so perfectly shown by your reply, because your reply is perfectly sensible when you take into content what you were saying in the first half of the show, that it's the quality of service, being reliable, seen as a reliable resource in your market, that you're looking for a CRM that really helps you keep your service quality level to where you want it to be. So that's a top priority, where like the Mailrite, we have a basic CRM built, but it's part of our lead generation system. and it just sends an email. It doesn't do all the things, the bells and whistles that your system does. So it really does depend on what you really want from that CRM, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's why somebody may use one CRM and be like, this is the best thing since sliced bread. And then the next person may say, well, this doesn't work for me. And then they may have one that works for them. So, and then there's others where they may think, you know what, if this CRM's charging this much, well, it must be the best. So I'm going to pay all that money, but they only use 5% of its capability, whereas they could actually be spending less of their monthly budget and getting a CRM that'll do the exact same thing for them.
That's fantastic.
Which leads me to all those people listening out there. I will give them a Robert Newman $1 million idea. I just don't have the time or the budget to build this myself. But John and I have talked about this, and I've come to the conclusion, John, that somebody, you, me, or some other enterprising entrepreneur actually needs to make a behavior-based, like, relationship CRM, because all the ones that are out there don't do it very well. Like what I'm talking about, Shawn, is if let's say you're a relationship seller, like you're not necessarily you who's generating all these cold leads off Facebook. Let's just say you've done what you've done for 16 years, but you have an amazing rapport with the 75 people you sold homes to. And the way you count on getting new business is making sure those 75 people refer you to the 500 people that they know when they're ready to buy a home. So how do you do that? You make sure that they're getting a card from you every time their dog has a birthday, every time their daughter graduates from 7th to 8th grade, and the list goes on and on. You know as much as you can about those people and politely encourage them throughout their lives so that they remember you. Like you say good things like, oh, your alma mater won the football game, stuff like that. But how do you track it? You need a CRM, right? A really good one. It doesn't exist. I've never seen it. You would have to put all that information down in notes, not fields.
Well, there is actually one. It's part of the Buffini. Buffini bought a CRM, and I forgot the name of it, but I think you can use it. You can buy it and use it, and you don't have to be part of the Buffini coaching program to utilize it, because a previous host of this podcast actually utilized it, and he showed me the back end, and it is extremely focused in the way that you're outlining, Robert.
Really? Well, you got to get the name of that sometime so that I can stop telling our audience to spend $2 million on something that already exists.
I will go to the Buffini website and I will find it, make sure it's in the show notes. But like what I said to you, Robert, fundamentally the best CRM is the CRM that you utilize. So many agents they have a CRM that's kind of forced down their throat by their brokerage, and it like what we've just shown, that it's really dependent on the kind of agent you are and how you're going to use it. So a lot of the brokerage CRM isn't utilized because it's not the right tool for that particular agent. Would you agree with that, Shawn?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like I said, there's not one size that fits all. So if it's coming from a brokerage, one realtor might jump on it and absolutely love it. And the next one may struggle with it because they don't want all the bells and whistles. I just want my names in there. That's all I want. Or I mean, whatever that may be. It's everybody's got their own system. And it's the same when I'm teaching other realtors throughout North America about different social media tips or anything. I always tell everybody, I mean, you got to find your own way, what you're comfortable with, what you can do. Focus on that and really do it well. I mean, there's some realtors out there that make tremendous amounts of money with, obviously a little tougher now, the way that things have been recently, but with door knocking and cold calling. That's not my style. I have made $0 from that. It was just not a strength of mine. So I just never did it. But that's because I do it one way, it does not make it the right way.
It's a bit chilly where you are anyway, isn't it? You'd probably get frostbite, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
All right. So I think Robert, I think we should wrap it up, and hopefully Shawn can stay on for some bonus content, because I want to delve into what Facebook adverts have been working for him and see if he can give some tips and advice to our listeners and viewers about that particular subject, which you'll be able to see the whole interview on the Mel Wright YouTube channel, folks. So hopefully you found this part really interesting, and you go to the channel and watch the rest of the interview. Over to you, Robert.
All right, so we're gonna wrap it up. Before we do, Shawn, I would love it if you could share with our audience, if they would like to reach out to you, how would you suggest that they do that?
So probably the best for other realtors is I've got an Instagram page, and it's at C21 Shawn Bell. That's where I give, every day I'm posting on there. I'm sharing my story behind the scenes, showing what I'm doing throughout the day to day, and really trying to help other realtors out there, saying, you know, if there's a tip I can provide on there, I'm going to throw it on there. I've been doing Instagram Reels. I did a new thing coming is Instagram guides, tried that out. So I'm always trying new things and like to share with realtors, saying, hey, you know, the latest one was Instagram Reels. I think all realtors should be on Instagram Reels because it's new in the algorithm. It's getting pushed to more people. Therefore, as realtors, you guys should be doing Reels. So you can go to my page to find tips like that. And then if you're wanting other things aside from that, for sure, YouTube is the number one, because that's, I mean, YouTube has a searchability. You can search different topics that I have, go through them, watch them at your own leisure, and they're going to live there forever. So you can, you know, watch something today, and if you need a reminder, you can watch it 6 months from now. And that one is just go youtube.com/Shawn Bell, and that'll take you right to my channel.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. We're looking forward to hearing your thoughts on the best performing Facebook ads. John, if people would like to reach out to you, how would you suggest that they do that?
It's really easy, folks. You go to the Mel Wright website. You can book a consultation with me. That's totally free. Tell me, we can go through your difficulties and we can see if the Mel Wright platform is the right solution for you. For the, you know, the other agents that will find Robert's solution more suitable. There's other agents that find ours more suitable. There is no platform that is perfect for all agents. But like I say, you can go to the Mel Wright website, book a consultation, or just give me a call. I'm always available. Over to you, Robert.
And for some reason, if you want to learn internet marketing, you want to get a deep dive into any of these systems that we occasionally talk about, not Revolve, I'm going to have to change that, but most of them, Follow Up Boss and KV Core and all those others through the eyes of an expert, you can go to my website, inboundrem.com, and learn more. You can also, if you really think that you'd like to talk to me, you can always just use my contact form. But that's neither here nor there. All right, Shawn, thank you so much for coming on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned and go to our YouTube channel for the extra bonus content, and do all of us, me, Jonathan, and Shawn, a favor and thumbs up. Give us a review on iPod so that the show shows up better inside the iTunes system. We would deeply appreciate it. If you do nothing else besides listen, please give us a review on iTunes. All right. And we're off to bonus content. All right, welcome back. We're in the bonus content. We're still here with Shawn Bell, and we are going to I'm going to turn it over to John, who's going to ask him some questions about effective Facebook marketing ads. Over to you, John.
Oh, thanks for that, Robert. So, you know, obviously you described your market. So it'd be interesting, because I would imagine for your own market, you're looking for buyers, but when you're dealing with your consultancy side, especially when you're dealing with American agents, they're looking for the totally opposite. They're looking for sellers. So it'd be interesting to see what campaigns have been working for you locally, and what campaigns you think work for agents that are looking for sellers. So have you got any insights about, maybe give us some campaigns, one for buyers and one for sellers, that has been really working?
Absolutely. So yes, we do run quite a few buyer ads right now. Those are by far the easiest. and we do have some seller ads as well. The nice thing with the buyer ads is sometimes, I mean, most of them are triggering buyers, but a lot of times those buyers that come also may have a house to sell in order to buy the one that they're coming to. So sometimes those ads are kind of go both ways. So what we essentially do is we're targeting a certain area. So with ours, because of the city size of our city, it's the entire city. And we are running lists of homes. So we're saying, here's a list of homes in this neighborhood under this price range. So basically what we do is pick a neighborhood in my community. If the average price is 300,000, I'll tell people, here's a list of homes under 300,000. And usually I pick, kind of a popular neighborhood. Then from there, when people are seeing that ad come up on Facebook, they're going, wow, I didn't realize you could get a house in that area for under 300,000. We really like that area. We know it has a good school. It's close to shopping. It's got lots of parks, whatever that may be. And it really intrigues them that they want to click on it to see that list of homes. So then from there, basically we have everything linked up to our MLS so that it does a saved auto search. So when they click on that ad, they just have to put in their name, their number, their email address. Once they do that, then they get the link to the saved search and they can see all the homes that are on there. And then basically in return, we get their contact information, and then we get in touch with them and, ask, is there any more information you require? And it's basically just staying in touch with them after that, giving them some good, valuable information, whether it's market updates or what have you. So that works really great for the buyers. On the seller side of things, we've got kind of a couple different ways to do it. Is basically it's kind of a reverse engineer method where instead of running a list of homes that are for sale, you're running a list of homes that have recently sold. So a lot of the times on MLS, you can't see what homes have sold for. I mean, only as a realtor, you generally see that. So these ones work really well too, because you're sending it out there and you're saying, here's a list of homes in this neighborhood that have sold within the past, and it could depend on your market, how busy it is. Say it's the last 3 months. Then the people that are living in that area, more than likely, they're going to be clicking on that ad because everybody asks, what did that house sell for? What did my neighbor's home go for? So they're curious. They're going to click on it. They're going to find out. And then again, you're going to get that information. And some of them maybe, we're just browsing. But again, it's just another contact that you now have that you can keep in touch with them for, could be the next 2 to 3 years. And you're top of mind. So when they do go to sell, you're going to be the one they're thinking of. So it's really just about filling that funnel and having conversations with people to eventually, as time goes on, that builds up and you're starting to make those sales.
Beautiful.
Fantastic. So basically, I think what you're outlining there is curation. Basically you're curating data. So it's easily available that would have been of interest to your target audience.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's good information that they would like to know. Where I find some may fall short with ads is they're just running an ad for their new listing. So a lot of people will get a new listing and they're like, oh, I got to put money behind this, and they'll just boost it. Well, boosting, for one, is different from running an actual Facebook ad. With boosting, you're just putting money there, and it works. It gets people seeing it, but there's not that call to action. They see the house, cool, and then they keep going and keep scrolling through Facebook. Whereas with the lists, you're actually got a call to action saying, you know what, if you want to see this list, put your information in here and then we'll generate it for you. And then if I could touch on that a little bit too, one thing I do stress is you do not want to call it lie to people or, make something seem the way it is not. So I tell people when you are running these lists, make sure you got a good list of homes in there. Don't just say, hey, here's a list of homes and there's one on there. And then you're actually shooting yourself in the foot and doing yourself more of a disservice than you were not even running that ad, because now that person's angry at you and likely never going to reply to you. So you want to make sure when you are getting their information, you better be giving them good value in return.
I think that's so true. And I think what you demonstrated there is that it's not jet science, isn't it? It's just really putting yourself in the shoes of your target audience, really, and being totally honest about if you were in their shoes, what you would find useful, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yep. And that's why, I mean, aside from Facebook ads, that's why any realtors who post about their community more and do restaurant reviews, all that good information, succeed more on social media than the ones that are just posting house for sale, house for sale. Here's my next open house. That it just doesn't work as well.
So what about retargeting? Have you been utilizing the ability of Facebook when when you get these adverts and you get engagement, and you can retarget those audiences? Is that also been useful in your digital marketing
For sure,
strategy?
I use it some on my end, absolutely. For within the course that we teach, we simplify it a little more, just to get the people the leads. But if they do want to retarget, obviously I teach them that too. And yeah, the retargeting works great. I mean, you can set up a pixel on your website, so you can have it, anybody that went to your website and viewed your website are all of a sudden getting shown these ads. So you can do it aside from the lead generation part where they're having to submit their name and number. You can create, what we did one time is where we did this lead generation for a list of homes in a specific neighborhood. Once they clicked on that and saw the ad, for the next week or two, they were getting shown videos of that neighborhood that we had pre-created. So we had went out to the neighborhoods and said, here's why you might want to live in this neighborhood. Here's the schools in this neighborhood. We just did a big community profile. So after they clicked on that list, then they started seeing those ads for the videos for that same neighborhood. And it's just kind of putting it into their brain again, going, yeah, that's a good neighborhood. Yeah, now I really could see myself living there. And it helps with brand awareness too, and having you in front of them.
Were you on the videos, the neighborhood videos? I'm sorry, John, I got to ask.
No, it's no problem at all, Robert.
Yes, we were. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So it's
that was
us giving the tour of the neighborhood. So we did it as a company thing. So we wanted to include all our realtors in this. But yeah, if I was doing it just singular, just myself, then yes, I go through the school and say, it's me interviewing the principal there, or it's me walking through the park saying, this is what my kids love about this park. Or yeah, the more you can put your face in there in those videos, again, it's the science behind it is with two sets of, or set of eyes in there, you're going to get far more engagement than just a generic video.
All right, back over to you, John.
What's your response? Obviously in the American market, I don't know if this has also affected the Canadian market, but in the US market, more restrictions were put on about lookalike audiences. You can't use that anymore. Restrictions about the categories you could select, who would see that, there's been anything around the housing industry, there's been a lot more restrictions connected to utilizing Facebook. So a few people have been saying, so-called experts, that Facebook no longer really works and you'd be better off looking at Google. Well, what's your response to that?
Absolutely. I hear that a lot. And actually, to be frank, when somebody says that, I love it, because what happens is Facebook is always making changes, and they're always going to continue to make changes. And basically those who stay on top of it and understand what changes they need to make will, in my opinion, still get the good results and still succeed. So I always tell everybody in my group too, anytime Facebook makes a change is the best thing. I love it, because what happens is there's a good handful of realtors out there that when that change is made, they throw their hands up in the air and they go, you know what? I give up. I can't do this anymore. Facebook ads don't work, and I give up. And when they give up, that means there's less competition for us that are running the ads to be able to get those out in front of the people. So you got to imagine, if I'm in a city of 30,000 people, if there was 5,000 people running ads at one given time, it's a pretty competitive market. Whereas if all of a sudden there's only 10 of us, we're going to get a lot bigger reach and a lot more bang for our buck, because there's not as many people looking. Now, the other thing I've seen is, because we started running Facebook ads before they came out with the special ad category. So recently, within the last couple of years, Facebook introduced the special ad category, saying you can't discriminate against anybody. You can't, basically, you've got to show your ads to everybody. You can't say, I only want to show it to a select few people, whether that's by gender or age or whatever. So now when you're running an ad for Facebook, you can't do that. but we're finding we're getting the same, if not sometimes better results. And I think better because some people gave up on doing it. So Facebook has, whether we like it or not, Facebook has so much darn data on us. It probably would boggle your mind, but the way I look at it is it's advantage for us. It helps us in our marketing. So with the amount of information they have, they know who to show those ads to. They do different testing and they know, okay, I've shown this ad to this person and they are not responding. I've shown this ad to this person and they've clicked a couple times. They know from our habits of online. I mean, they even know when we're scrolling through, and if we stop at a photo and we look at it for 5 seconds versus if we just scroll by it. So there's little things like that I really like because they know who to show it in front of, and whether I have to check that special ad category or not, to me makes no difference. We still get those awesome results.
That's awesome. Hey, John, Shawn, I have to drop off. I've got.
No, I think we should wrap it up now anyway, Robert, because we've got to be respectful of Shawn's time here. But yeah, you have to come back. I think it's been a fantastic conversation. I don't know what you think, Robert.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. Shawn, you're amazing, man. And I hope that everybody listening to the show that's interested in learning about not hiring somebody, but learning how to do some of this stuff themselves, please tune into Shawn's channel. He has a lot of great things to share. He's shared a lot of great things during the show.
And thank you so much for having me. And yeah, if anybody has any questions, reach out to me. And I appreciate you guys having me on.
So we're going to wrap it up now, folks. We'll see you next week with another great interview or internal discussion with me and my beloved co-host, Robert. We'll see you soon, folks. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.